What's happening, guys? Welcome to the Common Sense Football Show and welcome to today's show. I hope you guys had a wonderful bank holiday weekend. I sure did. So let's get into today's show. Arsenal winning at St James's Park at Newcastle to keep the title race alive. Fantastic performance by the Gunners. Newcastle started off really bright. The first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they were really on top. But Arsenal rid the storm and managed to sucker punch Newcastle, courtesy of an Odegaard goal. Then, going into half-time, it was 1-0. Again, Newcastle started the second half very brightly. The first 10-15 minutes, they were dangerous. Arteta was very clever, bringing off Zinchenko and bringing on Tierney early in the second half. Tierney, a much better defender than Zinchenko. He's a better all-around left back than Zinchenko. Zinchenko obviously is useful to Arsenal doing the inverted role, but you know, when we need to hold on to a lead and try and defend the lead, I think Arteta's learned that Tierney is very important for that role, so he brought him on nice and early in the second half, and he did the job. He was very solid, very professional, and I hope for one that we keep a hold of him, because when he's fit, he is one of the top left backs in the country. So, as the second half went on, Arsenal managed to get a second goal, courtesy of Martinelli's trickery, crossed it into the box, and one of the Newcastle defenders unfortunately scoring an own goal. Arsenal deserved the win. They were great. It was probably the best away performance for the Gunners this season, considering the circumstances, the opposition, the crowd. There's a lot of pressure on Arsenal. They're up against a top team in Newcastle and one of the top stadiums in the country with one of the most passionate fan bases in the country, and we managed to get out of there with a result to keep the title race alive. Now, Jorginho was absolutely exceptional. Now, I was the one who said before the City game, I've got the videos to prove it with the dates, that Arteta needs to play Jorginho in the Arsenal midfield because of his composure, because of his ability, because of his passing, because of his ability to control the game, because of his experience, because he's a winner. No one in that Arsenal team has won more titles than Jorginho. And since Jorginho has been playing, since the Chelsea game and the Newcastle game, he has been absolutely exceptional, getting a man of the match performance against Newcastle this weekend. And he was the driving force for me of the Arsenal team. He was composed, he was relaxed, he was classy, his passing was fantastic, forward passing was fantastic, passes into the final third was fantastic, and his overall decision making was superb. And that is what I was crying out for before the City game. I said if Arsenal had any chance, it was a slim chance, but have any chance of beating City at the Etihad, Jorginho must play in a double pivot. Now, I was the only one to say it. I didn't hear any other fan, pundit or sports media say it. I was the only one to say it. I know my football. Jorginho is an exceptional player. Fans that don't rate Jorginho, they know nothing about football in my view. Yes, he's slow, but because he's slow, he has to use that. He has to use his noggin. He has to use his brain, and he has a fantastic football brain, a fantastic football IQ. He knows how to read the game. He knows how to manage games. He knows how to dictate games. And he was one of the main reasons that we won that game against Newcastle. I also need to give credit to Arteta because he initially played with the midfield three of Jorginho, single pivot with Xhaka and Odegaard as 2/8s, but then when he realised that the physicality of the Newcastle midfield with Linton, Guimaraes and Willock, they have a lot of legs, they have a lot of power. What he did then was drop Xhaka back into the 6 role to help Jorginho and to form a double pivot, and that gave Odegaard the freedom to go in between the lines and dictate the play in the final third. That was very clever by Arteta. What I like about Arteta is that he makes mistakes. All managers make mistakes, all people make mistakes, but he seems to learn quickly from those mistakes. And you know, he's a young coach, he's a bright coach, and I like that with Arteta. The fact that he makes mistakes, but he learns from those mistakes. He adapts from those errors. And that was a masterstroke, putting Xhaka next to Jorginho for the double pivot. Now, Jorginho, along with Kante, was one of the best double pivots in Europe, playing for Chelsea. Pep wanted to sign him, but Jorginho chose to follow Sarri to Chelsea. He had success under Sarri. Then Lampard came in, crap manager. Then Potter came in, good manager, but just chaotic times. And before that, Tuchel came in after Lampard, before Potter. Tuchel came in, and that's when Jorginho probably had his best football at Chelsea, getting third in the Ballon d'Or, winning the Champions League and winning the European Championships with Italy. But when Chelsea, and that was the point I made, when Chelsea went up against City under Tuchel, the Jorginho and Kante double pivot was more than a match for Manchester City's midfield with De Bruyne, Gundogan, and the quality they have, Rodri. And Tuchel often got the upper hand against Pep's Manchester City. So my thinking was, we have Jorginho. If we could form that sort of similar double pivot with Jorginho and Partey, maybe we could come close to matching City. That's why I want him to play before the City game. He's dropped Partey, Arteta, because he's been awful the last 4 or 5 weeks, and he's brought in Jorginho. And Xhaka with Jorginho, Xhaka gives the sort of physical prowess that a Partey would give, or a Kante would give. Obviously, he ain't as good as those players in that department, but Xhaka's he's a fighter, he's a warrior, he's a very, he's up for the fight. And he gave Jorginho the protection that he needed, so Jorginho could dictate the game with his intelligence. And that is why I wanted Jorginho to play. And he must play for the remaining games of the season if Arsenal are to win those games, get maximum points, and give us any chance of winning this Premier League title. It's still alive. But well done to Arsenal. Well done to Mikel Arteta, and well done to the lads. I'm very proud of you. We're all behind you. Just keep going all the way, and let's see what happens. Now, I wanted to touch on David De Gea. Manchester United lost on the weekend. David De Gea making a blunder. Now, I'm not a Manchester United fan. I don't care. I think that David De Gea gets very, very, very bad press. He gets very disrespected by the sports media, by pundits, and by football fans, Manchester United fans. Not all of them, some of them. I know that Goldbridge is a massive fan of him, and I'm a massive fan of David De Gea. I think he's a great goalkeeper. Let us not forget, he came at Manchester United when he was very young. He's won a Premier League, he's won titles with Manchester United, and for 2-3 seasons in a row, he was their player of the season, with outstanding saves, saving them points, getting them higher up the table with his performances. He's had a drop-off in form of recent years, but now, this season, he seems to be close to back to his best. He makes a couple of blunders and everyone says he's finished. Listen, David De Gea is not finished. David De Gea is a world-class goalkeeper. He's proved that in the past, and I believe he's proved that this season with, a lot of clean sheets. He's on course to win the Golden Glove. Now, he's a fantastic goalkeeper. He may not be so good with the ball at his feet, but that being said, he's an old school goalkeeper and one of the best shot stoppers in the world. I don't really understand why Manchester United would sign him, why they would sell him, because there ain't many goalkeepers out there that are better than him. Now, I know everyone's obsessed with this playing out from the back and goalkeepers have to be good with their feet, but goalkeepers need to keep the ball out the net, and David De Gea is phenomenal at that. And I'm sure with, if he was to have, his most competent defence in front of him, with Martinez and Varane as the centre-backs, I'm sure he would be more assured with the protection that they would give him. Remember, a goalkeeper is protected by the back four, by the defensive players. And Manchester United are leaking a lot of chances, a lot of opportunities. So I'm sure that David De Gea, the confidence, in his defence may be affecting his performances. But to say that he's finished, absolute nonsense. He's had a legendary career at Manchester United. He is a legend of that football club. He is one of the great goalkeepers in the Premier League, in my viewpoint. He's had a phenomenal career and he's far from finished. And if they were to get rid of him, there ain't much better out there than him. So, I think that that Manchester United fans should get behind David De Gea, trust in the rebuild that Ten Hag is doing, and a goalkeeper's the least of your problems. Maybe you need a goalkeeper to compete with David De Gea, but he's one of the top goalkeepers in the world, and getting players in other positions should be more of a priority for the Manchester United rebuild. Liverpool are on Manchester United's toes for that top 4 spot, so not getting into the Champions League would be pretty shit for Manchester United. They need to get in there from that position, and if they throw it away, then I don't like to use the word bottling it, but it don't look good. So Manchester United, for the transfer budget, for all their plans, for the rebuild, they need to get into that Champions League. But so do Liverpool. So the battle for that 4th spot does look very, very, very interesting. Can Manchester United hold their nerve? Let's wait and see. The last thing I want to discuss is the Champions League game tonight. Manchester City versus Real Madrid. Epic game, epic encounter, epic game last year. Will Manchester City get revenge or Real Madrid repeat? Now I'm backing Real Madrid. I don't care about Manchester City. Real Madrid, I think they will beat them again. I think they're a better team than Manchester City. And I know that's contrary to what most people believe. Most people believe that Manchester City are a better team than Real Madrid. They have better players than Real Madrid. I just don't see how that is possible. I've been listening to some pundits, some sports media publications, and they say that not many Real Madrid players would get into the Manchester City team. Absolute poppycock, absolute nonsense, absolute bullshits. Listen, Thibaut Courtois is a better goalkeeper than Ederson. Militao ain't playing tonight, but he's a better centre back than any of the Manchester City centre halves. Diaz would probably get in there, so I'd have Militao and Diaz in the centre of the defence, but definitely Courtois over Ederson. Carvajal gets in over Stones or Walker. Camavinga, he's not a specialist left back, but he's been exceptional this season, and Manchester City don't even really have a left back. So, alright, maybe Ake, he's more specialised to that position, so I would take Ake over Camavinga, just because Camavinga isn't a left back. He's a centre midfielder, but he's phenomenal in his versatility. Now midfield, definitely Modric gets in, definitely Kroos gets in. Now, De Bruyne over Valverde, that's a you would have to say De Bruyne. So De Bruyne gets in, Finney gets in over Grealish. Rodrigo gets in on the right over any one of them, Foden or Mahrez. And Benzema and Haaland up front, flick of a coin for me. Benzema showed last season that, the pressure he can take, the penalties he scored, the goals he scored, the siding goals, in the later stages of games when they needed him to score. And he just won the Ballon d'Or. Put respect on these players' names. They are multiple-time Champions League winners. They have Ballon d'Or winners within that team, Modric and Benzema. Now, I know Haaland is a beast. Yes, I know that. But this is still Karim Benzema, who turns up for the big occasions. He scores the big goals. He scores the big penalties. He is a big game player. He's a Ballon d'Or winner. And as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can see, Manchester City don't have one Ballon d'Or winner in their team. So how can the Manchester City players be better than Real Madrid's? It doesn't make any logical sense. It doesn't make any common sense. And that's why I'm here, to give you guys common sense football knowledge. Now, Diaz gets in, Ake gets in, De Bruyne gets in, maybe Haaland over Benzema. That is four players, but 7 Real Madrid players get in easily. Easily. So, player for player, Real Madrid are better than Manchester City. You've also got the likes of Camavinga, Chukwuemeka, Valverde, Valverde, even though I said De Bruyne, I would getting over him. They are a fantastic football team. A fantastic football team. Multiple Champions League winners. Ballon d'Or winners. The best goalkeeper in the world at the moment. And not to mention 4-time Champions League winning manager, Don Carlo Ancelotti. Come on. Come on. I mean, when I listen to some of the crap some of these pundits and English sports media spout out, it just gets on my nerves. I don't know if it's clickbait or if they actually believe the nonsense that they speak. But Don Carlo Ancelotti always finds a way to get the upper hand over the Klopps, the Peps, the Tuchels, the Simeones, all of the young super managers coming up. The old Don Carlo, the Don, 4-time Champions League winner, always gets the upper hand over those young super managers because he is the cream of the crop. One of the greats of all time. And yes, Pep is one of the greats also. But Pep's won 2 Champions Leagues with one club, and Ancelotti's won 4 Champions Leagues with multiple clubs. No, come on. They got a better manager and they got better players. And if you're doing an 11, combined 11, 4 City players get in and 7 Real Madrid players get in. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Now, on tonight's game, it is a 50-50 game. Manchester City will have to get last year's game out of their heads. We'll have to take the chances. Militao isn't playing tonight, so it will probably be Rudiger with Alaba in the base of Real Madrid's defence. Rudiger's going to be up for the battle against Haaland. But I still think that Real Madrid, coming off a cup win this weekend, they're going to be up, they're going to be ready. Vinny's on fire, Rodrigo's on fire, Benzema is Benzema. They've got the Cruz and Modric is in midfield with Valverde, box-to-box midfielder. I think that they're going to have too much quality and too much know-how for Manchester City. Real Madrid may have to ride out a storm, but with their intelligence, they're going to calm it down. With their composure, they're going to calm it down and they're going to find a way to play through the lines. And remember, Real Madrid can play in bursts. They can beat you in bursts. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, bang, they can beat you. So it's going to be a very interesting game. It's going to be very interesting to see if Pep does any tinkering. Sometimes he overthinks things at this stage of the Champions League. It's going to be very interesting to see the tactical battle between Pep and Carlo Ancelotti. But I am picking Real Madrid to beat Manchester City tonight and over the 2 legs because they are Real Madrid. They're a legacy team and they have better players. But I could be wrong, but I'm picking Real Madrid. So let's see what happens, guys. So, guys, thank you for tuning in for today's show. I'll be back tomorrow for another one. Please smash the like, leave a comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.